Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I'd like to share my newest journal, which is covered with a piece of a vintage pillowcase. I'm sure some of you will recognize this design. It's they used to be on the end of pillowcases, probably from the 50s or whatever, but when I was a young girl, in the 60s, I won a set of pillowcases at a bingo game with my mother at the ladies' auxiliary meeting. And when I found this piece, it just reminded me of that. So I thought I would share it on the cover of this journal because of the pretty embroidery, and it is a sewing themed journal. So I used her as a spine, or used her main body in this pretty, I left the little dress open underneath and just put a piece of gingham, pink gingham, because when I won the pillowcases, my mother kind of designed my bedroom. She redecorated my bedroom around these pillowcases, and she used pink and white gingham and a sheer pink canopy for my bed, and it was really pretty. So this reminded me of it. And since it is a sewing theme journal, I did some crazy quilting and added some fabrics that kind of matched the embroidery. And I just used the hardcover. And the closure is the sari with some vintage buttons, which is from Marguerite. My previous journal before this one was a SamPooleDesign project, and I used a lot of, it was kind of basically a sewing as well, but it was in memory of Marguerite, who was an amazing woman who was a crafter, sewer, painter. She did everything, and I was fortunate enough to go to her estate sale and acquire some of her sewing items like buttons and laces and such. So anyway, you open the front cover, and I put this little bag for whoever the new owner of the journal. It just got some pink and green Edmar thread and some pink and green little seed beads from Mill Hill in this little bag. And I just used this vintage piece of lace with embroidery. I've been hanging on to it, and I thought that would be a perfect little belly band to hold it in there. So I did use the papers from the main papers when I was going through my files one day on my laptop. I found this beautiful set of papers in pinks and greens, and I did not have the name written on the file of whose digitals they were. So I asked several people, and someone suggested Amitybloom. And I thought, oh, I don't know if that's Amity or not. Some of them looked like it, and some of them I wasn't so sure about. And sure enough, it was from her Primrose Patchwork kits. So that's what I used for the main pages, along with a few items from Sweetpeacuriosities, CraftycatUSA, SamPool, and Pixiedustfiles. So I printed off some of Amitybloom's pages on cardstock and just used them with my tab punch for tabs, because, you know, I just love tabs. So the pages either have tabs or they have laces or embroidered trims. And I did dangle off of this first page an applique that the new owner could dye if she wanted. And this is a piece of lace from Marguerite, from her collection that I acquired. So under this first photo frame, I just added some journaling cards but they just have pretty sewing images, laces, and a pretty lace dress. And I just tucked them in there for some journaling space. And there may be some other digitals in here from other people, which off the top of my head, I can't remember. But the majority are the ones that I have said. Now, the black and white cards are Sweetpeacuriosities, and there's such a beautiful collection. You'll just have to check out her one of her newest, I think, collections, like this old thread spool, and I've just got them sprinkled throughout because they're just really pretty. I just use that as a little tuck pocket. And behind, I wouldn't say that's my porch prints, but I'm not sure. I'm sure I've got some of hers. It's just a nice hard envelope. Tuck in your things. That's a pretty page. And this little girl, I just made her this morning, actually, and tucked her in here. It's a journaling card. And I watched a video by my fellow design team member of SamPooleDesigns. She was making all kinds of ephemera. You'll have to check out her video. It's really interesting, of just little ways of making ephemera that you just don't think about with your scraps and stuff. And she has some vintage photo kits, or a vintage photo kit, in her Etsy shop. So it's Rhonda from A Little Bit French, and she's got some really cute stuff in there. So she just made, well, she made several things, but this one I just thought it was cute. Like, this is a little girl showing off her new dress that her mother had made her. And it's got a real dried flower on it and some vintage tape. And it really is a vintage tape, but I know that you can make your own, and I believe Rhonda did. And I just tucked it in here because it was just kind of cute. And just a piece of tissue. And this piece of beautiful lace is from Marguerite. And I just tucked in some journaling cards, a couple of pretty journaling cards. And a friend just gave me a bottle of dyed mother of pearl buttons. I didn't know. I thought they were plastic buttons, but when I opened them to use a few, they turned out to be mother of pearl, and I just thought they're just so pretty and perfect to add a few into this book. So thank you, Leslie. I appreciate it, and I will definitely be using them. And I just did a little rubber stamp of this little girl. She's proud to show off her new little dress. And here's some vintage lace I thought was so pretty. They're butterflies. I did leave a lot of space for journaling here and there. Write your little notes or projects, or maybe some poems or some favorite sayings. And I used some of Amitybloom's washi tape throughout. And here's some more of the mother of pearl buttons. And these are also the Sweetpeacuriosities. I love these pictures of hands. I love old hands. My hands forever, they've always just looked old. My mother and I would put our hands out and take pictures of them together. I've got tons of pictures of our hands together, usually after we worked a jigsaw puzzle. Anyway, my grandmother always said that she had terrible looking hands, but they were very hard working hands, and I believe that's what made them beautiful. So I put some vintage lace and a mother of pearl button on this beautiful card of this woman with this seamstress with her old hands, and this young lady and these younger hands, just some vintage laces. I thought I had 4. I do. And then this one. Look at those. There's beautiful, beautiful images of a handiwork hands. And then, of course, I think this is SamPoole's. I'm not sure. But just has some lace samples. And this is from a vintage encyclopedia. It's fiber, definition of fiber. And I think this is Souvenir de la France, I think. I'm not sure. But it's sample card. And it reveals some journaling space. But I just put some fabrics that I used in this journal as samples. And these are Amitybloom's papers from her Primrose Patchwork kit digitals. And this little piece, which I cut out of one of her papers, is just a little hidden tuck spot and pocket that I printed out some of my own little rose tiny print washi tapes onto the the matte clear shipping labels, well, sheets, so you can print them out and cut them in long strips. And in here I tucked in several journaling cards. I used a lot of florals and sewing themed cards. And under here, I had this printed out, and I don't know who it's from. I'm sure it's not from one that I've already mentioned, but I thought it was really pretty, so I put that in there. And here's another. This was going to be a cover until I found that, but I love this. This older woman who is a quilt maker. I love that. And just an envelope for your little receipts or secrets or whatever you want. And it's got a couple vintage pieces of from a handiwork magazine. And this is an old die cut, or not die cut. It's a piece of scrap, the German scrap, and it's raised. And I just thought it was pretty, so I put it in here. And this is CraftycatUSA's pocket. I just love that little fabric pocket. So I put it in here with a little lace sample that I used to tuck in some more handmade washi tape. And it's just a little random scrap paper notebook. That just tucks in there. And this is from Marguerite, and it is some vintage pearl buttons, and it can come out and you can write on the back. And this little belly band, I just printed off some embroidery stitches onto tracing paper. I thought that was a pretty page. So that just tucks in here. And I did use some mulberry paper in between. My friend Terry had given me several sheets of beautiful, I love mulberry paper. I love how it's, when you want to rip it or, make it into sections, instead of cutting it, you use the water paintbrush, and then you just pull it apart, and it makes this pretty feathered edge. So that's why I like using it. Plus it's kind of translucent where you could kind of see through it. Anyway, I used a vintage flower basket applique, embroidered, and this little cutout silhouette. I don't know whose that is. And just tucked in a couple of sewing themed papers that you can journal on the back. And I just cut that out of Amitybloom's paper, just to write on, add some more writing space. And this little music sheet I folded over and turned it into a tuck spot and put in an envelope and a tag. And then in this little sewing machine, I put in a couple little journaling tags. Here's another of those pretty black and whites. And this was from a book, The Best Sewing Machine. So I just kind of tore that out and rounded the edges and stuck it in here because I thought it was just interesting. And I don't have a lot of old papers, so I do use them sparingly because I really do not have a lot, but I'm on the lookout for some more. So my second signature, I just have this cute little girl and a couple of pretty journaling cards of embroidery and roses, and then a little label, lace making, and one of these uniquely Ella page tab pockets, which I love, with a tiny little thimble, a mother of pearl button, and a pretty piece of cotton, embroidered cotton piece, very old, and then an embroidered piece, and then this little dress. On the other side, I used a library card, and I just used some of Amitybloom's washi tape, and embossed a piece of book sheet, vintage book page, and then a little piece of ephemera as a journaling card. And just tucked a few things under this embossed piece of paper. There's another mother of pearl button on that tab. And just a couple of cards in here to journal on. And this top, I finally found some, who was it? I think it was Gail Schmidt, who, another design team colleague from SamPool. She used, I think it's her, oh dear, now I'm not sure. She uses the, the stuff that looks like glass, but it's, okay, it escapes me, but I'm sure you know what it is. But I just tucked this card, and I used a real flower, dried flower behind it. Man, I cannot remember what that's called. But I finally got some to play around with. It's a natural material, but I can't remember what it is. I used a piece of lace. It's not vintage, but I did use some vintage mother of pearl buttons on it to tuck in some large pieces to journal on. Large pieces of paper, sewing related. And then a couple more little cards in this little tuck spot. And here's a little flip-up hidden journal spot, and some more mulberry paper, and this pretty little trim. It's not vintage, but it just goes so well with this journal. And then a little up tuck with a couple of journaling cards, and then some more. This one's embroidery related. Looks like embroidered linens. This cute little, I thought that was cute, the little hanger. And haberdashery, little encyclopedia. And this frame, I just added a journaling card. I love this I don't know if that's too shiny. This picture of, she's fixing her bustle, making her a new dress. I thought that deserved to be in a frame all by itself. And this is a plastic, very old button, and this was in Marguerite's button box. And on this side, I added a little piece of Velcro, so this little booklet would not fall, or not a booklet, this little packet wouldn't fall out. It's a little, a vintage doily, and I just filled it with, I believe they're SamPool's cards. Her dress cards, and I just used one of my little pins, my little flower pins, to secure it with a piece of little cream and pink polka dot sari. But these are just pretty little journaling cards, and I do believe they are from SamPoole's photos, her collections. And that just keeps them in there nice and secure. And a couple of big journaling card. I love that one, embroidery. And this is lace making paper from Marguerite's lace making, one of her magazines. So I thought that would be pretty neat to stick in here, because most of us love vintage antique papers. And here's another mother of pearl dyed button. And this little scissor ephemera piece just holds these 3 journaling cards. The pretty little trim, one of my favorites, just a delicate little trim. And this is just a flip up from one of Amitybloom's papers that I printed on cardstock. And this is a Tracy Fox paper clip that I just added a little dangle and a piece of vintage lace. And this is 2 little envelopes, which I thought are cute to just add your own little, actually I should do it this way, add your own little, like little receipts or tidbits or labels or what have you. I think little envelopes are very handy in journals. And, oh, that's on the other side. I just printed out these 2 checks because they're journaling cards or papers. And the color was pretty. I love the melon color. Matches Amity's papers. And this is just a pretty card. I'm not sure if that's Sweetpeacuriosity or I don't know. But it's a lot of, I think it's the AI. Well, I know it's AI, but I've got a lot of the cards similar to this. And I just think they're so pretty. I try not to overuse them because I really do like the old vintage. And, but I do think they add a nice little pop of color, and they're just pretty. Another larger envelope to add your own items to. And then we come to the back, which I just used to put another little lace pocket of journaling cards. And I love these journaling cards. The old, it looks like they used like a chenille bedspread to make this pin cushion, and maybe a canning jar lid. And then this beautiful old, I thought it was a thimble at first, but it's not. It could be like a marking chalk. I'm not sure. I just love these. They're just so pretty. And look at that pen. And the scissors. I love the scissors. So anyway, that's what goes in there. And then on the top, this little piece of jacquard ribbon with 2 mother of pearl buttons holds this little vintage, like a little needle envelope. And inside I have some more washi tape, handmade washi tape. And that is it. That is the new little sewing journal, which I have not named. So I think it should have a lovely little name. So I will probably think of one before I put this on. Or maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to check out Rhonda from A Little Bit French's one of her newer videos making ephemera from vintage photos and bits and pieces you have around the house. Okay, thank you, and you have a great day. Bye-bye.